Autobots, transform!
Hello everybody, welcome back to George Reviews. I am the 80s Transformer fan, and today I'll be taking a look at number 2 on our 1984 Hasbro checklist, Heroic Autobot Mini Car Bumblebee. Before we get to Bumblebee, recently reviewed number 1 Brawn, and I put a check by him. I don't think I put it on video, but I put a check by him. I'm going to go ahead and make it an X. So that's one down, and now we're on to Bumblebee on our countdown. And you guys gonna have to bear with me because I want to treat each one of these figures specially and give them their own individual spotlight. So you may hear me repeat some of the same things you heard in the last review, just in case someone as a kid only had this particular toy, didn't have them all, or 4 or 5 or all, you know. So forgive me for being repetitive, but I want to start by telling you that this figure was brought to us in the United States by Hasbro in 1984. This is a pre-rub. Pre-rub means it doesn't have the little black square that you rub your finger. It has the Autobot symbol. Pretty sure a lot of people watching like, we know this. But anyway, before Hasbro got this toy line, this particular toy came from Takara in Japan. And in Japan, he was a micro changer. And in a micro change line, he was just a toy car. He was meant to be a toy penny racer, even though he wasn't an actual toy penny racer. They have versions of this as a toy penny racer, but they differ. And here's a picture. So anyway, and that toy line was also made by Takara. So Takara doubled their money. And as a kid, I felt a strong connection to this toy because it was like exactly like the penny racers I had played with years prior. And then it was like, now this toy transforms. So anyway, Takara made these figures to be 1-to-1 scale. This figure did not turn into a life-size car that turned into a 15-foot robot. It was just a toy that transformed and I guess ran around people's houses. And he came in multiple colors over there. Then he was distributed around the world in multiple colors. Colors in the United States, we got 2. Unlike Braun, we actually got 2 colors. We got this one and the red one in the United States. And I'm going to concentrate on this yellow one. So anyway, Hasbro bought the licensing from Takara, brought it over here and wrote the mythos around it. And he became an Autobot, a full-size car, and his name became Bumblebee. And so that brings us up to speed. So once Hasbro imported these figures, he became a full-size Volkswagen Beetle that you could actually drive around and transform into about a 12-foot tall robot. And in the Transformer ranks, his function was espionage. His motto, the least likely can be the most dangerous. His bio reads as follows: small, eager, brave, Bumblebee acts as a messenger and spy. Due to his small size, he dares to go where others can't and won't. He idolized bigger Autobots, especially Optimus Prime and Prowl. He strives to be accepted. He is the most energy efficient and has the best vision of all Autobots. I never knew that. I never paid attention to that thing about his vision. He can go underwater for reconnaissance and salvage missions. I never knew that. Although physically the weakest Autobot, his stealth more than compensates for his inadequacies. So yeah, I never paid attention that he did like underwater salvage at all. I don't remember that. Okay, now I'm going to run down Bumblebee's stats. His strength is a 2, his intelligence is an 8, his speed is a 4, his endurance is a 7, his rank is a 7, his courage is a 10, his firepower is a 1, and his skill is a 7. So basically what they're saying is Bumblebee might as well be throwing rocks on a battlefield with a firepower of 1. And he is made out of a yellow plastic, a pretty damn good yellow plastic. His interior windows are a separate black plastic piece, which I actually liked and loved as a kid. He's sporting real rubber tires. This says Dunlap on both of them. Inside the rubber tires are chrome rims, which is just so awesome. The front bumper is a separate black plastic piece. It has a black plastic piece on the side where you step into the car. And the back bumper is part of the yellow molded plastic. There's a little molded tailpipe, but it's just painted over black. And this little silver piece here is the little piece that will house the penny from the aforementioned penny racer line. And underneath, he has a little bit of die-cast metal, which made these guys so much more special. It's supposed to be like the molded spare tire underneath. And he has some dating right here. It has some Asian writing. And then it says Takara Co. Ltd. 1983, 1984. I'm sorry, I misspoke myself. It says 1980. I'm getting old. 1984 Japan underneath Bumblebee. You see a couple screws where he's held together. And other than seeing his hands hanging out, he cleans up pretty good in this mode. When I first saw him in stores, I did not grab him because the cartoon had not aired. And I was looking for bigger, more exotic cars. I was looking for Sideswipe, Sunstreaker, Jazz, Mirage. Those were the guys that I had seen on the commercials. And those are the guys I went to go look for. I'm like, what are these? And they were small, so I didn't get them. So when the cartoon aired, you know, Bumblebee became famous. And he's arguably, next to Optimus Prime, the most famous Autobot from 1984. Arguably, but not to me. He's not my favorite. But I know the fandom is huge for this guy. Michael Bay expanded on that, took advantage of that, and made him like a superstar in his movies. But when I played with Bumblebee, he was never saving the day ever. He was getting shot all the time. We were saving this guy. He'd get captured. We have to go rescue him in my little childhood playtime. Yeah, he never was my hero. And watching those Michael Bay movies was already tough enough. But to make this guy like the main Autobot next to Optimus Prime, a lot of times he shine Optimus Prime in the Michael Bay movies, which burn. But I do understand the love for this guy. I get it. He's super iconic now because the cartoon made him so popular. He was always sold out. But one day I eventually found him, added to my collection, and had a lot of fun and a lot of playtime with this figure. So anyway, having told that story, I'm going to get Bumblebee transformed. As you do, I just stick my nail in the front bumper and kind of get both feet at the same time. Pull them forward, and it is much stronger, much sturdier than the Walmart reissue. Pull them down, rotate these up, just slide his hands out and lift his head up, and we are transformed. Here is Generation 1 Vintage Bumblebee. Spin him around, just take a look in robot mode, and there's not a whole lot going on with this figure. Obviously, it's G1 and he's a Minibot. But anyway, I loved him as a kid. Again, not one of my top guys, but I did love this toy. Mine got beat up and tore up and then eventually passed on to my little cousin. When I bought this toy, I bought this figure maybe like 18 years ago when I became an adult collector. I've had this a long time before they start KOing and reissuing. He's been in my possession a long, long time. So let's take a look at his face. And he's wearing what they call the battle mask now. And this is like a Japanese culture type look. And then when he was adopted over to America, they changed his face to more Americanize and humanize the character. But he's wearing a mouth plate, much like Optimus Prime, a single visor eye, sort of like Jazz. And we sort of kind of retain the horns. And he has some vents on the side of his face. But they totally went with a different look for this guy. And I guess it's cool. I guess. And a lot of people back in the day wondered why does the toy doesn't look like the cartoon? It's because the cartoon changed. It's not the fault of the toy. Not at all. And speaking of which, he has no articulation at the head. You can let it down, and that's it. He can look down. His arms will 360 because of the transformation. And the tires just hang out. He's literally, in his little molded hand, he's holding the tire on the side of his hand. And I'm glad that they chose not to animate that. If he was a GoBot, they would have been walking around holding his tire because the GoBots didn't care. They drew everything they saw. The face underneath the vehicle and everything. His legs, there's no real articulation here. The The feet move because of transformation, and you can sort of kind of get them in a walking pose, and that's pretty much the most dynamic pose you can get Bumblebee in right there. And that's pretty much it. And I brought up the Walmart version, and I want to show you the Walmart reissue. Now, when you transform the Walmart reissue and you pull it, like, you get both feet off in your hand. It's not broke, but it's just not made anywhere near the quality of the vintage Bumblebee. And another thing that makes the vintage even more special, because the reissues have changed the head to the cartoon accurate head. Now, I do like having this, but I still love having this because it makes it just that much more special because it's different. The reissue painted the back tail lights, painted the bumper silver in the front and the back, and also painted the headlights. And like I said, even the Autobot symbols are not the same. So, all right, let's do some size comparison. Here is Bumblebee next to Generation 1 Wheeljack, which we'll begin to review from soon. And here he is next to Optimus Prime. See how they scale? And here he is with R2-D2. Wait, what? And here he is with the Yellow Lion. What? It's all 80s. And you know what? Here's Bumblebee with the entire beehive. Okay, everybody. I thought of my favorite Bumblebee moment, and hardcore Bumblebee fans will not be happy with this. My favorite Bumblebee moment was when Bumblebee and Sparkplug snuck into the ruby crystal mines of Burma to plant a bomb given to them by Wheeljack. And my favorite moment is when Thundercracker and Skywarp caught those guys and were slapping the shit out of Bumblebee. And I think Skywarp says, "We gotta put a little bull on them and give them the Megatron." So that was my favorite moment, because that's what these guys would do if they ever caught up to Bumblebee. He would not survive the encounter. You know, he despised the encounter movie, but they were slapping the shit out of little Bumblebee in that tunnel. So yeah, that's pretty much my only Bumblebee moment as a kid. The only thing I think of other than that was me just trying to track him down. He was hard for me to track down once he became a heavily featured character in the cartoon. He flew off shelves, and he was very popular. But like, far as having that one moment, I got nothing. I guess his most famous thing in Transformers cartoon history would be he was the second on-screen Transformer on the very first episode, only preceded by Autobot Wheeljack, and they both were looking for some energy rods and found some energy rods to take back to Iacon. He was voiced by actor Daniel Gilvezan, who actually did a lot of voice acting in the 70s and 80s, and I think still to this day. He was really famous for bringing Spider-Man and Peter Parker to life in the 1981, I think, to 83 cartoon, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I really loved that. And when I heard him speak as Bumblebee, I was immediately connected. And they did that a lot in Generation 1 Transformers, connecting it to pre-existing toy lines with voice actors and bios and other things, which was amazing. Hasbro really put this line together well. Okay, and I want to give you a few buying tips if you are looking to buy a vintage Transformers Bumblebee. One thing to look for on a Transformer Bumblebee is the date stamping. Most of the reissues, pretty much all the reissues, have China on the bottom and don't have Takara, but there are a lot of KOs. They come in a lot of colors, trying to cash in on people looking for the rare ones. And the biggest thing to look for is like tire wear. Tire wear is everything. You don't want to come across, a lot of times these tires cracked and dried out or just split over the years, but you want to watch that for originals and KOs. But a little bit of tire wear, the KOs will be nice and gloss and shiny. You won't have the chrome wear and all that. If it's super mint and super cheap, it's most likely a KO. And then the face. So you're not getting a reissue. The face has what they could now call the battle mask. So that's a couple things to look for. I really can't think of much more than that as far as buying tips. But you just want to look for aging and weathering on the toy pretty much. And they all pretty much have this little chrome wear, these little two spots from opening and closing all the time and touching, and then wear around the corners. And usually that's a good sign of an authentic vintage Transformer. So this has been my Bumblebee story. Could you please comment below and tell me your Bumblebee story? No matter what it was, did you have this figure? Did you love this figure? Did you get it and not like it? I'd like to hear from you in the comments below. And this has been another episode of George Reviews, the reviews where every toy has a story. Even